Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great day. So this is a clip from a previously recorded video. This is a much shorter clip of it. But as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. And I'm invested in closing companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the clip. Marathon also provides their Bitcoin production for April 2023. Got some interesting things here for them. They grew really nicely here in the month, but the production for Bitcoin is a little lethargic, you could say, on it. It should have been much higher, I would think, from where they are, but we'll take a look at all the numbers that we do have on them. So here's management commentary. So we produced 702 Bitcoin in April, which is a 134% increase year over year, but a decrease from the prior month due to upward adjustments in the network's difficulty rate and to a lesser extent curtailment activity. I think this is actually possibly more to an extent of the curtailment than anything else. And then April having one less day than March. Okay, so then that would have been only 20 some Bitcoins less potentially. And the impact of luck factor. So now they're including the luck factor in here as well, which is kind of strange that, and they put out a reference to a Lux, I think it was Luxor mining, the article on that one, which is kind of interesting to say that, your chances of mining are luck, which a lot of it is. A small part, I think, is luck, but if you have a large hash rate and you're in a good mining pool, your chances of having continued daily production of Bitcoin should be much more, not granular, but what's the word I'm looking for? Much more steady supply of that coming in, right? So they're also attributing luck factor, which I think is kind of strange to it. And then in addition to increasing our hash rate, we also witnessed our first domestic deployment of immersion mining coming online in Jamestown and North Dakota. So that's all great there. But like I said, this is a little weird that they're including the luck factor on that one. Okay, continuing on here. With 17.9 of our targeted 23 exahash already installed and operational hash rate consistently increasing, we remain confident that we are on track to achieve our primary target of 23 exahash near the middle of 2023. So that would be somewhere around at the end of June, July, somewhere around there. So only a couple months away from that. They did grow really nicely here this month, but the production wasn't there for Bitcoins as it is. So they can produce so far this month, or in April, was 702, and that is a decrease actually from March. So that was a little strange there. Average BTC produced per day was 23.4. Operational energized hash rate is 14, so that is definitely a huge growth for them. They should have been mining a heck of a lot more, and then here's how they're explaining it. So number one, hash rate defined as the amount of hash rate that could theoretically be generated if all mining servers that have been operational energized are currently in operation, including mining servers that are temporarily offline for maintenance or similar reasons. Hash rates are estimates based on the manufacturer specifications. All figures are rounded. So that's kind of how they're calculating it. And then let me see here. What else do we have down here? There it is. As of May 1st, Marathon holds a total of 11,568 BTC, all of which are unrestricted. So that's good. The company opted to sell 600 BTC during the month of April and intends to sell a portion of its Bitcoin holdings in future periods to support monthly operations, manage its treasury, and for general corporate purposes, which is good also. I like that strategy that they're selling at least a pretty sizable portion of it to fund operations, things like that, growth, instead of relying on shareholders and diluting the heck out of them. So I like this approach a heck of a lot more. Okay, and I think that's it for that one. Let's take a look at what we do have for them, and then we'll get into core as well. So Marathon, I updated this to the latest charts here just a day or two ago, and I had to update it again with the latest information that we do have from them. So currently we have about 167 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at $9.55. They have a market cap of about 1.6 million roughly on that one. So good market cap for them. Current hash rate about 14 exahash. Future hash rate is going to be 23. They have about 9 exahash left to energize. They are about 60% operational right now. And we can see their BTC HODL position right now is valued about 324 million based on the current month average Bitcoin price as it is. Okay, Bitcoin production here, you can see that they peaked quite nicely in March, 825. At that time, they also only had, let me see here, they had 11.5 exahash, right? This month, they installed more miners, but they mined less. 702 Bitcoin. They should have been probably closer to the 900 mark, I'm guessing, somewhere around there. 950, maybe something like that, if things were the same as in March, but they were actually energized for the same period of time. So they're down from March to April now. So that's a pretty big, sizable decrease of 123, given that we also had one shorter day. That would have only affected it by, what, 20-some Bitcoins, if anything. So still a way larger decrease than I would have expected to see. Bitcoin value right now of their HODL is 16.91% of their market cap. 83% is their actual hashing power. Hash rate left, we talked about that. Bitcoin mined was 702. Bitcoin sold was 600. BTC HODL is 11,568, so that's all good. BTC exahash efficiency, so this is how we can see how efficient they are as far as mining through the whole month. They came down to a 50 here. They were at 71.74, which resulted in really good numbers. You can see here that anytime we get a nice little increase in production, we can also see the efficiency go up as well on that one. Bitcoin HODL, we can see that they've consistently held for the most part, started selling back in January, February, March, and April, and you can see how much they've sold here. They sold 1,501 in January, 709 in February, 751 in March, and now 600 in April. So that's good to see that that's kind of evened out a little bit here, and that's more averaging around 700 to 600 or so. Okay, so that's that. Hash rate revenue. Hash rate, you can see, has done a really good job ever since June and July of last year. We talked about this in the previous video where they had to shut down their Montana facility because of a summer storm that went through there. And in August, they picked up a little bit here to 3.2, 3.7 in September, had a nice increase, doubled it almost in October, or did double it, almost doubled it, to 7 exahash, stayed there for a couple months, then started to ramp back up at 7.3 in January, 9.5 in February, 11.5 in March, 14 in April. So really good growth here in the last couple months, and that's good to see here. We can see that also in their value. So this is the monthly Bitcoin revenue that they generated. And we can see that they bottomed out in July of about 1.5 million, went up to 12 million here in October, and then came back down in November a little bit. December went up as well. They did some curtailing here. It looks like November, December, and then January was up 13.9, February 15.9, March was 20.7, 2 million, and then they're down a little bit here in April, 20.25. They should have generated more, but I think it's because of curtailing that had the effect on the revenue there. Okay, Bitcoin sold value, you can see that they've been selling 30 million, 16 million, 18.8, 17.3 million. So roughly around 17 million in overall last couple months that on average have been selling. Last 4 quarters revenue, we've talked about this before. We'll see what that ends up for being for Q1 here. Q1 right now I think is estimated at 50.55 million, which is a nice increase from Q4. And it's still almost as high as it back in Q1 of 2022 here. Operating costs, we've talked about this before too. Those have been coming down a little bit here, which is good to see as well. Other metrics, cost to mine Bitcoin has come down in Q4. We talked about that as well. Bitcoin mined quarterly has gone up nicely as well. Should get a nice boost here, especially into Q1 as well. Debt to equity, we covered that. Current ratio, we covered that as well. Total current assets, we covered all this, and total current liabilities as well. So right now, let's take a look at what we actually installed as far as miners here for them. And we can see that here on this chart in April, we installed, based on my math here, about 14,140 of these 140 terahash miners, and these 3,720 also these 140 terahash miners. I could probably combine those together. But those that have mining for maybe 8 days or so, roughly, and the rest was only mining for about 21 days to get into the 20.258 million, which is valued here. Based on the amount of Bitcoin that they made, Bitcoin network or Bitcoin average price for the month. That's kind of what I calculated for them to be making right now in April. And that's how I was able to calculate what they were actually mining or how many days they were mining. Could be up a little bit here or down a little bit, depending on how many days these new miners were actually mining. We don't know when they got installed. If we did know, that would definitely help. And we'd be able to make the math a little bit better. But right now, it looks like they were down for about 9 days for curtailing, roughly around there. And that's why the production is way down. And they've never really had a good, strong month of production here as far as being close to like a full month of production. March, they were at 26 days based on my calculations. And here you can see that in February, they were at 23 days. In January, they were at 27.9. So pretty close to that. They were only, what, 2-3 days away from mining fully for the month. But this is definitely a lot of curtailing on it. One thing that makes me think, well, I don't know yet. I don't know if this is a pattern yet. We'll see if it continues on into May. And then June, obviously, we get into the hotter months. I'm pretty sure they're going to be curtailing more then as well, as they did last year also. And the other thing here to think about is with Marathon installing a lot of miners in Texas, Riot, other guys as well, is they're going to be putting a lot of demand, obviously, on the grid there. And with all that demand, is it going to be more likely that these guys are going to be curtailing more now that they are using also more electricity potentially? Just something to think about. I don't know yet. We'll see how that's going to play out, but that's just kind of something that's spinning in my head right now. Okay, so that's what we have going on. And looking at the institutions here, we can see that institutions did decrease a little bit here to 317 from 321. And shares decreased a little bit as well from 52.6 million to 52.2 million. And percentage went down to 31.25 from 31.5. So not a major decrease, but some have sold out, potentially because the stock has gone up quite nicely in the last couple of months. So maybe they're just taking profits on it. Also, we got a little bit of a change here as far as analyst ratings. We have still one strong buy rating, 3 buy ratings now instead of 4, and we have 3 hold ratings. So it looks like somebody has stopped covering them potentially. 0 underperformed, 0 sells, and the price target is still $20 there. The average went up to 13.3, and a low went actually up to $7. So that's good there. So they're thinking the high is $20 on that one, and a low of $7 right now. Based on what I'm seeing here, and this is, I want to make sure that I'm talking about the right numbers. So we're still using the numbers from last quarter here, which I can update this to use the numbers from this current quarter. Or actually, let's see here. Actually, we are using the Q1 numbers, Q4, and Q3 numbers, and we're using the actual current quarter that we're in now, which is really an estimate number, along with the Q1 numbers. Based on that, we're looking at a combined total revenue of $173.1 million, 50% net income from gross revenue, that's $86 million, PE of 20. I'm looking at $10.35. They are $9.55. Analysts are looking at $20 for them. That would give them a PE of potentially going up to, that'd be a pretty high PE here. PE of 37, 38, 39, almost 40, right? To get them to that number, to the high number. But if we go down to where the PE is, let's see here, 20 for the 75% net income from gross revenue, then we're looking at $13, which is kind of what they're looking at here. That's still at 27 PE. They would be undervalued at that point, given their growth. I can definitely see them getting to that easily with Bitcoin price going up in value as well, but they definitely have to get the growth into it as well. So I do think that they are still undervalued nonetheless on that one. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at. But normally I use a 20 PE or lower just to be pretty conservative on my estimates here. I don't want to be overly optimistic on these guys or anybody else for that matter. I think the 20 is kind of my cutoff part where I go, but then also it can go up much higher depending on where Bitcoin goes in value, and we've seen that in the past as well. So overall, great job on the growth. They have to, well, curtailing is going to be difficult for them because they are doing a lot of hosting or using hosting providers for that. They may have to curtail when required by ERCOT or some of the other municipalities that they deal with. So that's kind of maybe out of their control a little bit. But overall, if they could get that curtailment down, get production to where it's closer to being a full month, that would have a huge impact on their revenue and obviously on the stock as well, I would think. Okay, but overall, huge growth, nicely done here. The last couple of months have been great for them as far as growth is concerned. If they can keep that going towards the middle of the year, I think they can absolutely get there to the 23.3, but we'll see, right? Okay, so that's it for that one. Like I said, great job by them, but a little concerning on the Bitcoin production as it is for the month being lower.